Tap in on Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern for the 180 Positivity Plug. This will be a 3-minute power plug in which we will have an amazing pop-up guest that will be a virtual source for you to plug in and power up to get your day started. It will be available on YouTube, Facebook Live, and all our podcast streaming platforms. Be sure to tap in.
Let's work. You're now, that's what's important. We experience a collapse in our life structure most of the time because we failed to funeralize failed yesterdays. You have to be strong enough basically to realize you can elevate out of your current situation. Instead of looking at where you think you should be by now, look at where you have grown out of. There are many individuals who need help with their blueprint. And I want to be that vessel, nothing special, just that mouthpiece to inspire you to construct the best version of your life that you can be.
What up? Welcome to the LifeStruction with Eric podcast. I am your host, Eric. Sometimes you have to just dance to your own tune. No matter what's going on, sometimes it's good to just dance. It's good to dance. I am your host, Eric. Once again, welcome to the podcast. Let me start off by saying I am very proud of you. Some of you send me messages detailing how you've basically taken control of your life. In spite of your past being ugly, you have become strong enough to realize you are good enough. So you're now healing and freeing yourself from all destructive doubt and fear. So I just want to take the time to applaud you. For pushing through, because it takes a lot of determination and faith to get you basically to this point where you are today. So I want to take the time to applaud you. Yes, sir. And you should be clapping for yourself also. Sometimes in life, when there is nobody else around to clap for us, it's pretty much mandatory that we do what? Clap for ourselves. It's mandatory. But I had a conversation with a few ladies recently, and they were kind of sharing sharing with me some relationships that they had recently been in that took off and landed real quick. God was like, I don't even know who cleared you for takeoff, because I sure didn't. So let me land this thing before you basically crash and really endure a lot of pain. So as we chatted, I began to ask questions, because it's good when somebody bring up something and they're just saying, well, he did this and he did this and he did this. I'm a good listener, and I always say it's good to listen to someone before you actually go in and offer advice. So as we chatted, and I started to ask questions, we basically quickly agreed on one thing. Basically, they never inspected the man's baggage before they committed to travel with him. Sheesh. That right there will preach all by itself. That's the entire sermon. They never inspected the baggage. They never asked him any questions about his past, And it's important to ask questions and find out what type of baggage a person is carrying. You know, are they still carrying past hurt from another relationship, that they haven't healed from? Do they have bad credit? Do they drink? If so, how often? What are their goals? Hell, do they have goals? How long have they been on that job? Well, let me bag it up. Do they have a job? That's an important question, to ask. You know, no disrespect to my brothers, but guess what? That song that Kanye made, I ain't saying she's a gold digger, but I ain't messing with no broke. Y'all know the rest. Men are gold diggers too. No disrespect to men, but some men, they are gold diggers too. Uh, but yeah, it's these questions that you must ask. Do they have a relationship with God? Discuss scripture. Ask them to quote scripture. And I ain't talking about thou should not steal and Jesus wept. You laughing, but it's true. Get in depth in the words. Find out, how in depth their walk with Christ are. Do they have relationship? What kind of relationship? Let me rephrase that. What type of relationship do they have with their parents? Uh, if they say, "Oh, I don't mess with my mom, I don't mess with my dad," find out why. Do they have kids? Do they want kids? Do they have anger issues? The list goes on and on. But these are conversations that need to be had while you're basically, because I'm conducting this podcast like, because I work for the airline. So a lot of times I use traveling, you know, uh scenarios, as an example. So I'm pretty much building this podcast off of traveling. That's why you saw the title, no fly list. And basically, but these are some of the questions that you need to ask while you're at the ticket counter, you know, because you're not even going to waste your time and money if their baggage is overweight or has hazardous waste packed in it. Ah, did you hear me? If the baggage is overweight or they may just be carrying some hazardous waste, you're not even going to waste your time, because guess what? Their hazardous waste will start to leak on you after y'all take off and cause everything around you to crash. Yeesh. Relationships with other people, you'll start your performance on your job will start to go south. Your bank accounts will start to fall in the red. You'll be walking around stressed out, blood pressure up, not eating, because basically you jumped on the plane and took off with someone that God clearly didn't clear you to fly with. My God, today. But as we got more in depth in our discussion, what we came to an agreement on was they had been very vulnerable and lonely for so long that they were willing to pay for his excessive baggage. You know, they were just so lonely and desperate. You saw some of this stuff you saw early on, but you ignored it because you were just tired of being by yourself. you know and one of the things is, when you ignore it, what happens is all that extra weight, it basically eventually causes your plane to be over planned takeoff weight and cause your relationship to be grounded. Basically, what I'm saying when I say the plane was caused, basically all of this excessive baggage causes your aircraft to be over planned takeoff weight. Basically, so if you know anything about, pretty much doing the weight and balance on the plane, you have your dispatchers and they send you your release. And on that release, it shows you, the gas that you can take, uh, how many people is going to be on that plane, how many bags is on that plane. But sometimes when they are going to experience some bad weather, or some of the pilots have reported that they kind of went through some turbulence in certain areas, what happened is they decrease, like the altitude that you're flying in, and it may cause you to burn, or they make you fly higher. And you flying higher, man, you have to elevate higher. So it causes you to burn more fuel. So in those instances, basically what happens is sometimes when you are planning everything on that weight and balance, you can be over planned takeoff weight. So guess what? That aircraft can't fly until they send you a second release that will be better to help you fly that aircraft. But a lot of times we ignore the weight of the baggage that we know that people are carrying, because we figure that, you know, this aircraft, my aircraft, I got this jet fuel and nothing has never grounded me. So I'm not scared to fly, even though this person has excessive baggage weight, even though this person has some hazardous material, in their baggage. I'm equipped to help this person. I'm equipped, even though they don't have a car. I'm cool with letting them drop me off at work every day and basically, let them go and find a job. They said they're going to go look for a job. But meanwhile, 3 months later, and they haven't found a job yet. Everybody is hiring. You can get a job, somewhere. But it's the little things like that that we kind of ignore, and that's what caused all of that excessive weight to basically pull you down and ground that relationship. Because basically, when you connect with someone who did not receive love when they were growing up, you know, they try to get it any way that they can when they become an adult, because they didn't receive that love when they grew up. So they looking for it in anything, anyone, any place that they can find it. They cried out as a baby for attention, and their parent just threw the bottle in their mouth, never took the time to pick them up and comfort them. They basically took the bottle, took that pillow, and placed the bottle on top of that pillow where that pillow would support the bottle, and that baby could just, because his hands wasn't strong enough to hold that bottle. So basically, that's what they received as a baby. Then as a teenager, they cried out for attention. And because basically they wasn't receiving it at home, they started to seek attention in all the wrong places, indulging in porn and alcohol and people pleasing. Then they hit adulthood and they never really received love. So now they basically giving love and attention based on where and how they received it, you know. But if you find a strong man that has been blessed to grow up in that loving environment, he will give love and attention to you, even if he receives it back or not. Even if he receives it back or not, he's still going to give that love and attention because he wants what's best for the both of you. But, you know, it's crazy because he would do everything in his will to make sure he gives you all the love and affection that you deserve. But when you take his light for granted, because a lot of females, they take all of that light and all of that shine that the man is giving you, you take it for granted, and you never, ever put light back on him. Sometimes it's good to turn that light around and say, hey, I need you to take a break and relax. Let me basically pamper you. Let me spoil you. But a lot of times you take that light bulb for granted, and it eventually does what? It sparks out. Every light bulb eventually goes out. Every light bulb easily goes out, but, and it's so easy to screw that light bulb out, get another one, and place in there. But what happens is, because he's upset, because he was tired of always giving you the love and attention, and you never giving it back to him, he shuts down. And basically, now you're both walking around on eggshells, because he's feeling like he gave you all that he had. In return, you gave him nothing. Oh, y'all thought this was all going to be like everything that a man don't do right? No, because basically where I'm going now is basically just kind of paint a picture of why some men that carry baggage, where they get it from, you know. So basically, he shuts down. Now, basically, when he shuts down, instead of you replacing a light bulb and pouring into him, you be like, oh, well, he acting all funky. Let me stay out of his way. So now no one wants to take the initiative to replace the light bulb. So you both are walking around in darkness on eggshells, avoiding each other. And basically, this brother ends up leaving because he don't want to be in the dark. He don't want to be in the dark. So he leaves. But now what happens is, eventually he finds another female, and she picks him up. But what happens is, she picks him up along with his past baggage, because he never took the time to go through his luggage and unpack the baggage from his last relationship. So basically, somebody else inherited his baggage on top of the baggage you gave him to add on to his bags, and he just carried that into another relationship. And this is what happens a lot when we go into relationships with people that still have baggage from past relationships. They are hurting, and they carry a lot of anger, basically because they're hurt. They're hurt. They have anger towards that last person. And even though they have interest in you, they have some anger that they're bringing into this new relationship, that they haven't had the time to basically unpack, wash. Well, first of all, let it soak, wash, and basically clean out their mind, body, and soul before they're ready to go into another relationship. And basically, with them having that anger that they're walking in from the past, when these things are not sorted out before you go into another relationship, your mate can become your sparring partner, because they are better at doing what? Expressing anger more than anything else. And that anger rolls over into everything: the way that they talk to you, the way that they drive. Even when you're supposed to be making love, they are treating you like a rag doll instead of showing you love and affection, you know, because they don't realize, that you're a queen, not a porn star, basically. But if they grew up and they learned how to supposedly show affection and be compassionate through porn, that's why they're treating you like that. But these are questions that you never asked while you were on the runway, before you even took off. Well, back it up, not even on the runway. These are questions you never asked when you were at the ticket counter. Who wants to have sex without intimacy? That's no way to have sex. Who wants to have sex without intimacy? But if a man didn't receive love growing up, once again, he doesn't know how to be intimate and show affection. So he has more likely, once again, learned from watching porn. And that's why he basically treats you like a rag doll during sex. But once again, these are things that need to be discussed before you even allow yourself to get on the runway, assuming that's the travel mate just because he look really nice. Because sometimes just because you see that man and he looks really nice, you know, what's the term my daughters use this term? Oh, they ate and left no crumbs. It took me a while to figure out what that meant. They got that drip. He looking good. He got on his Eric Winfield custom crown. He got his matching Louis or Gucci luggage. Yeah, but you better ask what's inside of that bag. Make him open it up. Seriously though, bottom line, ask questions. Take it slow. Don't be scared to interrogate them. Ask them to open up that bag and discuss everything that appears hazardous. But more than anything, they must be willing to consent to your search. They have to be willing. You know, they have to be open to discussing their past, their future plans. And basically, you have to be open to discussing your past and your future plans. And guess what? If they don't consent or they expose some hazardous waste that could cause you harm, place them on your no-fly list and continue to travel through life by yourself until God sends you a godly man that's been fully cleared for travel. Yes, sir. Wait on the Lord. Once again, I say, wait on the Lord. He will send you a godly man that's been fully cleared for travel. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to the LifeStruction podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share this episode to anyone that could benefit from it. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes that empower and enrich our lives. Until next time, this is your host, Eric. Enjoy your week, life builders. Peace.